Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I've been thinking about what shall we talk about in the future topics and thinking about different ideas, and I started getting some comment from you guys. Maybe we'll want to look at some of the real examples for app critics or design challenge. So definitely that's one of the topics that I'm thinking to work on in future. If you have any other thoughts, feel free to drop me a message, and just excited to try something new. So what I want to talk about today is more around the subject, how to handle the challenge that during your job seeking process, especially if you're looking to the first job to get into UX. So recently I got to talk to a couple of people who are in the process of job seeking and trying to get into UX. What I heard a lot is, I did a boot camp, and I spent weeks and months working on my portfolio, and I got finally my resume portfolio was ready and started my job applications roughly 6-7 months ago. But until now I haven't been hearing anything positive, and I'm really started like getting frustrated and feeling lost. I put so much efforts into those projects, and I worked days and nights to get my portfolio polished, but still I don't know what's wrong, and is that something wrong with me or my background? And it's just the fact is I don't I don't have any offer yet, and I keep getting rejections. So that those conversations, I'm so appreciate that folks have been so open in those conversations with me to share openly how they feel and what they have been going through. And you know what? You're definitely not alone. And when I first did my switch from transitioning from a different background, for me it was architecture into UX. It was the most difficult change that I think I've did career change more than once in my life so far. But this is, I think, definitely not a easy path to get into a new field. So a couple of advice I have for you guys. If you are looking to change your background and get your first job into UX, the first one is set up a strategy. And what I meant by strategy sounds quite broad, right? What I meant is really have a plan and a clear, realistic expectation. If you are changing background and trying to get into UX for the first time, you don't want to just apply for like 3 or 5 jobs or even 10. I mean, that's just too few. From having worked in different firms in the past, like also served as the interviewer side, I get to learn, there are a lot of time you don't even know what's going on the hiring side. Like there might be, they might have already have interviewed quite few people and candidate. They might have already been interviewed. They might have already interviewed quite a few candidates and have gone into the final stage, but because they haven't made a final decision yet, they are still talking to people. And sometimes there might be a hiring freeze, and sometimes there might be an internal transfer that they kind of favored rather than getting people from outside open market. So you never know. When you get a rejection, most of the case you never know what is the real reason. And having seen a lot what's going on from the hiring side, I think a lot of the case, it is not you. What I meant having a strategy is, if your goal is to get, say, 2 offers at the end, you can't really start by sending job applications to 5 jobs. You have to start from broad, and it's like a funnel. The first stage is get your applications out there, and then the next step usually you can get a phone interview if some of them thought your qualification seems kind of interesting. And once you get into the phone interviews, the first round is usually a chat with a recruiter to get a general sense of who you are and are you maybe a good fit for this position. And then once you pass that, there's usually more phone interviews getting into the technical stage. And then you might come across with design challenges or exercises. Then there is, as you're moving along, then you might get into the final stage for like remote on-site, the final interview. You get to present your projects and you got to into the doing the final presentations with the panel of interviewers. So it's a process, it's a funnel. So let's say if you want to get 2 offers at the end, how many should you actually start from the beginning? And I think there was an exercise I did back then when I was doing a boot camp, and the number roughly, if I remember correctly, if you consider all the factors, you have to start roughly around 30 to 40, and number, let alone number at the side. I think the other side is try to find a more effective way to send in your applications. This might sound a little abstract, but what I really meant is I don't recommend send in your applications using the simple online application submit button. People have different opinion on that, but I just want to be candid. What I think, especially if you're applying for a bigger company, I think the chance for you to actually get your resume into the hiring manager's hand is not that high if you send your resume on just through the simple online application system. If you know you want to get into a smaller company, that if you can find a connection, for example, a friend of friends who actually is working in the company, then why don't you just try to ask for a connection and even just set up a quick phone call, say if we can just ask your friend who might be able to help you get connected. In that way you can, on one side, learn a bit more about how it is like working for that company, and what is possibly like they're looking for in this open position. And if you can get an internal reference, there's always a much better chance for you to actually get your application in the hiring manager's hands. So the second advice I have for you is when you actually are sending out your job applications, try to find an internal reference. The next thing I want to talk about is continue work on your portfolio. So I have done quite a few portfolio reviews in the past few months with the coffee hour chat. So I have to say, a lot of the time the portfolio I see, especially for like students who's trying to get in the UX for their first time job, the content or the actual project is not often the problem, but the way how you present a portfolio. So I think it's definitely not easy for someone who is trying to get into UX to have that lens, knowing what should I do in the portfolio, how can I make it jump out and get me into the first round of interview. So the other advice I have for you is try to share your portfolio as much as you can with more experienced UXers. So if you have a friend who works as a UX designer or has more experience than you, don't feel shy to ask him or her for like some tips and suggestions. Just be very open, tell me how do you feel about my portfolio. I think the more feedback you are able to get from people, the better position you can get to polish your work. I know it can be pretty stressful getting your portfolio ready for the first time job application, and especially when you start getting those rejection emails. It's easy to start getting into that feeling of frustration that what am I doing wrong? why no one out there is thinking I can see my potentials? Why no one there see my talents, but I just want to encourage you guys, if you are in that situation or similar situation, don't doubt yourself. It is absolutely a difficult time right now in the market. So but at the same time, I didn't learn this from school, but after actually getting into the job as a professional, so I get to learn a lot. It is an art, and it takes some learnings to figure out how to handle this process. And especially when you started sending applications, and there are tons of thousands of reasons that you can get a rejection email. Sometimes maybe because your resume didn't hit a keyword in that job post. Sometimes it might be they just find the perfect candidate and they just haven't got chance to pull off that job post. And a lot of the times you don't know the reason behind, so it's easy to take that personal. But what I want to share is, please do not start blaming yourself and doubting yourself. Focus on the constructive way. How can I improve my projects? How can I make my portfolio better? To shift your focus from the actual side of self-doubting into the side of improvement. I know it can be super challenging, especially during this time that everyone's working remotely. You could have just to grab a coffee with someone who, as a friend or mentor, and just to get connected and chat. But still today, I think in this environment, there are still a lot of people who are very experienced and experts in their field are super generous in offering their help. So try to find those opportunities and get connected. And I feel like it's important to not put yourself in a bubble or silo, especially when you are going through this job application process. When you start having questions, having doubt, like what's wrong with me, or what should I do? Like, why am I not getting where I wish to be? Try to talk to someone, connect with someone, and share your pain, share your struggles, and ask for their thoughts. I think I always learn something new from just talking to people. So the last advice I want to talk about is how to continue build your project experience. So this is also one of the common struggle I keep hearing from students or UXers who are new to the field. I think to have a strong portfolio, you have to have that project experience. You won't be able to fake it when you get into the actual interview process, because you have to talk through and explain what you have done. So the best way to really prepare for yourself is to get the real project experience. And I know it can be a huge challenge how to get into those projects, because you probably are thinking, I have to get a job first, or at least an internship first, so I can start getting my project experience built. But in the UX field, most of the case, no, you need to show that you have that project experience, at least the minimum bar to get into those jobs. So how do you get those experience and build them up? I think there are a couple of ways I can think of. One is to seek for those freelancing opportunities. There are websites like Upworks or I think different platforms offering from building a website to help on building a mobile apps and different kind of jobs. Try to find an opportunity, no matter it's a pro bono projects or a freelancing projects. Your goal is not to make money at this stage. Your goal is to get the experience, the real project experience, and build them up as soon as you can. One other advice I have for you is don't be shy to spread the words with your friends and families. Tell them, if you or your friends ever need help to build a website or help on any working on a mobile app or anything, let me know, and I can help. So, don't be shy to spread the words, and you never know, there might be opportunities coming up. And this is actually how I get my very first job, side job, working on a digital product, is through a friend's reference that I got to work on building a company website. That's how I get very started. And the other way is you can always find something to work on your own. There are tons of apps I'm sure you use every day, and why don't you just pick one and do a case study. Do a detailed step-by-step case study to find out like what you like about it, why, and what are some of the area you think it can get improved, what are some problems, and how do you think that can be improved. You can do interviews, phone interviews, talk to folks about to understand what they feel about that app, and put together a detailed case study that showcase your design thinking and skills in a real case study. I think it's a super strong story to share or even put in your portfolio. So as long as you can demonstrate your thinking process and your design skills and showcase, how you discover the problem and how you solve the problem. So I think that's definitely another way. You don't need to sit there and wait for a project come to find you. Instead, create those opportunities and find those opportunities. That's all I have for today. So long story short, I just want to use this time to share with you guys. Don't feel discouraged, and don't start doubting yourself, because you have gone a long way if you are already in the job application process. So keep your heads up and continue moving forward. All right, one more thing. If you find this content helpful, please don't forget to subscribe, like, or share it. And we'll have more videos in future talking about everything about UX. And see you next time. Bye.